Hari Om and welcome this glorious celebration in honor of our beloved brother, Swami Daasyananda ji. So today I will begin by just a few words from a couple of our Swamis and the words from Sri Gurudev. Our brother left the body on the most auspicious time, an auspicious day, on our Guru Purnima celebration on July 25th. I was told it was around 4:40 a.m. And I would like to share on that day itself, I had an opportunity to be with his side, his body, a few hours later. And then I immediately wrote to the Swamis. And first I will read what Swami Karunanandaji shared with our Sangha on July 25, 6:48 in the morning. Beloved Sangha, Hari Om, on this blessed morning, the beginning of our Guru Purnima celebration at the ashram, the 51st anniversary of the first sannyas initiation of Western devotees by Sri Gurudev. During Brahma Muhurta, our beloved brother and fellow monastic, Sri Swami Daasyananda peacefully departed his physical plane of existence to rest in the heart of Sri Gurudev and in the highest realm of bliss. We were blessed to have his devoted presence in our midst for so many years and to be uplifted by his unwavering commitment to studying and living the truths of Jnana Yoga and to sharing those teachings and his insights with others. His home at the ashram was, quote, wallpapered, unquote, with handwritten notes proclaiming the glory of the Supreme Self, our true nature. He was blessed to be able to depart on his own terms in accordance with his innermost beliefs. May his soul feel and be lifted by our love and prayers. May he be filled with supreme peace, and may we all who will miss him be comforted and uplifted during this time of loss. Jai Shri Sakru Maharaj Ki Jai. With love and prayers from Swami Karunananda ji. Swami Ashokananda, thank you, dear brother, for your example of a focused mind and heart on the true goal of life. I don't know what it means to wake up from the dream and recognize you were never anything other than Brahman, the true self. But that is my wish for you. If you need to come back for another round, you will certainly be connected to the Guru right from the get-go, and he will guide you to the end of the line. All love, appreciation, and best wishes that you are in the understanding that nothing is missing. Ashokananda ji. And now, the message from Sri Gurudev for our service that we will have now. The soul is immortal and is never seen by the visible eye. It lived in the body and now left it. There is no such thing as death. Nothing can die. What is always there. It will never die. What is not can never be. We have been experiencing a soul functioning through a body. Now we are not able to see that body anymore. Having gotten used to that, and now no longer having it, we feel sad. A service such as this is a time to experience both sadness for our loss and joy for his sake. Thinking of him is a selfless act. Thinking of ourselves is a selfish act. We can help him by our sincere prayers for his new journey. The purpose of a memorial service is to sit together, as we are now, and think of the soul and send that soul all our good wishes. Hari Om Tat Sat. And now we'll begin our puja, offered by Reverend Shanti Wagner.
Nityam Jayanti Yoginaha Kalmadam Mokshadam Chaive Om Karaya Namo Namaha Om Karaya Namo Namaha Om Karaya Namo Namaha Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Deva Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Om Gam Gurave Namaha Om Gam Gurave Namaha Om Gam Gurave Namaha. May all the holy water of heaven and earth flow through me into this water, sanctifying it for the puja. Om Antar Jyotir Bahir Jyotir Prajak Jyotir Parat Paraha Jyotir Jyoti Swayam Jyotir Atma Jyotir Shivosmyaham Atma Jyotir Mano Jyotir Jyoti Sakshushapasyati Tatpadyatyantara Jyotir Sajotir Shiva Mokshate. Beloved Gurudev, thank you for being present in the form of this Murti. Om Namo Bhagavate Sachidanandaya. 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 Om Namo Bhagavate Sachidanandaya.
Beloved Lord, please accept this offering of Dupa.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sachidanandaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Sachidanandaya. All beloved Guru, please accept this offering of Deepa and light. All beloved Gurudev, please accept this offering of Navidyam. Om Namo Bhagavate Sachidanandaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Sachidanandaya. And please accept Bhagavate Sachidanandaya. And please accept this offering of Amritapanya. Om Namo Bhagavate Sachidanandaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Sachidanandaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Sachidanandaya. Daasyananda. It's your turn.
For our offering of Sangha chant, we offer Chidanan, Chidanan, Chidanandaham. Harahara me aramastu satchidanandaham. I'm not the body, not the mind, immortal self I am. In all conditions, I am knowledge, bliss absolute. Please join us for those who know the chant. Om Chidanan, Chidanan, Chidanandaham. Haraharu me haramastu satchidanandaham. I'm not the body, not the mind, immortal self I am. I'm not the body, not the mind, immortal self I am. Chidanan, Chidanan, Chidanandaham. Haraharu me haramastu satchidanandaham. I'm not the body, not the mind, immortal self I am. I'm not the body, not the mind, immortal self I am. In all conditions I am knowledge, bliss absolute. In all conditions I am knowledge, bliss absolute. Bliss absolute.
Dhyani and Bhaktananda. I'm sorry. It's not Dhyani. Sorry, I got you guys. Bhaktananda and Bhavani. Bhavani and Bhaktananda, please come up. I can get everything really confused. Thank you. Okay, offering petals. Okay. So just offer one at a time. You're not giving them away. Okay, good. All right. Om Namo Bhagavate Satchidanandaya. 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 Thank you. Please stand for the arati. Yes, where's the light? Where's my bell lighter? Om glory to the Lord of the world. Om glory to the Lord of the world. The wings of devotees travel. The wings of devotees travel. In a twinkling eye. All glory to the Lord of the world. You are my mother and my father, whom else can I take shelter? Whom else can I take shelter? There is none beside you. There is none beside you. I could put my hope. All glory to the Lord of the world. All glory to the Lord of the world. All glory to the Lord of the world. All glory to the Lord of the Jai Shri Satguru Satchidananda Ji Maharaj Ki. Om, beloved Gurudev, we offer you this light. Please touch us with your light and let us melt into you. May we all join in Om Tram Kam mantras for Lotus and Yogaville, for world peace, for our dear brother Swami Daasyananda Ji and his fabulous ascension, for all the worldwide Sangha, peace on earth and goodwill towards all. May we all wake up in this life. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandim Pushtivardhanam Uvaru kamive bandanam rityo mokshiya mamrita. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Uvaru kamive bandanam rityo mokshiya mamrita. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvaru Kamive Bandhanam Dhrityo Mokshiya Mamrita. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. May the entire universe be filled with peace and joy, love and light. May the light of truth overcome all darkness.
Victory to that light.
Jai Shri Satguru Satchidananda Ji Maharaj Ki.
Jai.
Satguru Jaya Guru Satchidananda Guru. Do you want to hold it? Huh? Oh, at the end, okay. Yes, okay. And then I'll put it over here, is that all right? Okay. Satguru Jaya Guru
Satchidananda Guru Guru Sharanam Guru Sharanam Satguru Sharanam Baba Haranam. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you, Reverend Shanti, for the beautiful puja in honor of Swami. Daasyananda. I know that the pronunciation is a little difficult. Affectionately, we called him Das. Dasya meaning service. Service to the divine. Now we will have an opportunity to have a tribute presented by Reverend Siva Moore, written by Swami Premanandaji, published in the Indigo Yoga magazine. Reverend Siva, please come.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. I've had the privilege of knowing Swami Daasyananda for I've been here 45 years, so he was here ahead of me. So had the privilege of being his friend and brother for many years. Having difficulty hearing? Louder? Okay. The voice is older now, so it doesn't project as much as it used to. But anyway, when I came here in those years, 1981, Swami Daasyananda was living in the attic of LCC, him and a few others, but he wasn't on the maintenance team yet. He was working in town as a social worker and giving his money to the ashram to support us to pay our bills. It's not like today where the ashram is supporting others. He was there supporting the ashram in this day. So it was a very great privilege later on that he came to work and serve in the maintenance team with me. So, but let me read this beautiful tribute. Swami Daasyananda, a life of service, stillness, and the infinite self. On the blessed morning that marked the beginning of the Guru Purnima celebration at Satchidananda Ashram Yogaville, July 25th, 2026, our beloved brother and senior monastic, Swami Daasyanandaji, peacefully left the body. The timing of his departure seemed deeply fitting. Throughout his life, Swami Daasyananda's devotion to Swami Satchidananda, Sri Gurudev, was steady and profound. In his final days, that devotion seemed to shine with particular clarity. He spoke of Gurudev often, resting inwardly in the guidance and grace of the Guru, to whose teachings he had dedicated his life. Swami Daasyananda was born in Virginia and always regarded himself with affection and humility as a country boy. He loved the natural world and felt at home in its simplicity. He enjoyed camping, especially near the quiet lakes and away from the crowded summer destinations, and spent many hours exploring the countryside. He also loved the traditional music of rural America, country music, particularly the old-time music of the mountains. It spoke to something deep within him. He taught himself to play the fiddle and the dulcimer, becoming quite accomplished over the years. Swami Daasyananda became involved in integral yoga in the early 1970s. He first received pre-sannyas diksha from Sri Gurudev and was given the name Brother Bhargava Chaitanya. Later, upon receiving sannyas diksha from Sri Gurudev in 1977, he was given the name Swami Daasyananda, the bliss of devoted service, or one who finds bliss in serving the divine. Taken together, the names given to him by Gurudev beautifully encompass two complementary currents of his life: his growing absorption in the radiance of pure consciousness and his humble, steadfast dedication to selfless service. Meditation had already been important to him for many years, including during his college days, and it was one of the primary forces that drew him to yoga. When he met Swami Satchidananda, he felt that he had found an extraordinary spiritual teacher, one who could guide him more deeply along the meditation and path of self-knowledge. His bond with Sri Gurudev became the foundation of his spiritual life. Beneath Swami Daasyananda's practical manner, quiet humor, and country ways was a heart filled with devotion. His love for Sri Gurudev was not merely sentimental. It expressed itself through decades of discipline, service, meditation, study, and dedication to the teachings he had received. He trusted Gurudev's guidance and sought to embody it fully. Swami Daasyananda served for a number of years at the Integral Yoga Institute in Denver, Colorado, and the Integral Yoga Natural Food Store in Santa Cruz, California, prior to moving in September 1979 to the newly developing Virginia ashram with some of the first families who were helping to establish the ashram. He was the first sannyasi to make his home in the Virginia ashram and has remained a devoted presence here for nearly 5 decades. Much of his service was offered through the maintenance team as the ashram's lead plumber. Along with his buddy Mohan Wenzel, he carried out countless repairs, installations, and practical projects over the years. Plumbing was not simply an occupation to him, it was karma yoga. He understood that maintaining water systems, repairing what was broken, and responding to the everyday needs of the community could all be expressions of spiritual service. He was also a gifted dowser. Other people will talk about that, I'm sure. Using instruments he often fashioned himself, he helped locate promising sites for water wells, both at the ashram and for many residents of the surrounding Yogaville community. People came to trust his sensitivity and skill. In a rural community where access to dependable water, well water is essential, this was no small contribution. In this distinctive way, too, he combined his closeness to the natural world with a desire to serve others. Those who knew him remembered his warm and sometimes playful manner. He often greeted men as laddie and women as lassie, an affectionate expression that reflected his friendliness and old-fashioned country charm. He enjoyed conversation, laughter, music, and friendships. Yet as the years passed, he became increasingly inward and solitary. This was not because he had withdrawn from others out of dislike or indifference. Rather, his mind and heart were becoming more fully attuned to another dimension of life. As several friends observed, he seemed increasingly to live in the wavelength of what he called formless awareness, infinite and eternal. In the late 1990s, after years of deep meditation, Swami Daasyananda had an experience of what he described as pure awareness. He went to Sri Gurudev and told him what had occurred. Gurudev reportedly responded, "Yes, that's it, go there." Those few words became a guiding instruction for the rest of his life. From then on, Swami Daasyananda sought as much as possible to abide in that pure awareness, not as a passing experience, but as an ever-present reality underlying every experience. To him, it was beautiful beyond description. His home at the ashram reflected this inner orientation. The walls were covered with handwritten notes proclaiming the glory of the Supreme Self and reminding him of our true nature. These were not decorations, they were instruments of practice, constant calls to awaken from identification with the changing body and mind and to remain established in the unchanging reality. About a decade ago, Swami Daasyananda began leading a Jnana Yoga study group for members of the community who shared his sincere interest in the path. He devoted great care to this responsibility. He prepared lesson plans for every gathering and invested significant time and thought in the material he offered. He wanted the group to remain small enough for participants to engage deeply, ask questions, and truly explore the teachings together. Although he sometimes felt concerned that limiting its size might prevent others from joining, his intention was to preserve the depth and seriousness of the study. In recent years, as the body became less able to support activity, Swami Daasyananda spoke openly of no longer needing his body. His words did not come from despondency, but from spiritual detachment. He had spent years examining the distinction between the body and the self. When his physical condition declined and he entered hospice care, he appeared ready to live that understanding fully. Even then, his humor remained. He continued to joke, talk, and laugh with those around him. There was an ease about his final days that deeply touched his friends. His transition seemed to embody the teachings to which he had devoted his life. He was calm, prepared, and unattached, resting not in fear of what might come, but the conviction that he was never the body. Those close to him felt that he left consciously and illumined, ready for the apparent boundaries of the individual form to dissolve into and as pure infinite awareness. Swami Daasyananda leaves behind a legacy that is at once humble and profound. Pipes repaired and wells discovered, music played and friendships cherished, lessons carefully prepared, decades of meditation, handwritten reminders of the Supreme Self, and a life quietly offered at the feet of his Guru. He showed that the deepest spiritual life need not be separate from ordinary work. The same hands that repaired plumbing could hold the fiddle, fashion the dowsing rod, prepare a lesson on the self, and fold in reverence before the Guru. The country boy, the craftsman, the musician, the karmayogi, the contemplative, and the jnani were not separate identities, but different expressions of one sincere and dedicated life. We will miss his physical presence, his warmth, his humor, and the distinctive way he moved through the world. Yet the truth he loved reminds us that what is real in him has not gone anywhere. May Swami Daasyananda's life inspire us to serve faithfully, meditate deeply, seek the truth wholeheartedly, and remember what he so often affirmed. Formless awareness, infinite and eternal, beautiful. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you, Das.
Thank you, Reverend Siva, for the beautiful reading and tribute. And thank you, Swami Premanandaji, for such a fullness of Daasyanandaji, who he was for us and will be and is. And now we will have tributes from few of his laddies and lassies, who we all are in this room. I can feel him. He would not have had any of this. He's not interested. We do this for ourselves and to be inspired by how he lived and how he expressed the devotion to the Guru and followed his inner calling for the search for the true self. I believe he attained it, no? He's there, there's a feeling. And yet I feel him I used to walk by here as a young sister years ago, and he would say, "Hello there, lassie." I had no idea. Normally people said, "Hari Om, Sister Sharanya," or "Hari Om, Swami Dayananda." There he was, singing, humming. And then he'll look up and say, "Hello, lassie there." Same feeling as Hari Om, that seeing the divine in you, that warmth, that friendliness, that awareness that we are brother and sister. And so I am very, very honored and blessed to introduce the lassies and the laddies who will be speaking in person about Daasyanandaji. We'll begin with Reverend Gianni and Reverend Shanti Wagner, followed by Reverend Bhagavan Metro. They will introduce themselves. Thank you.
Well, I didn't know I was going to introduce myself, but I am Diani, and I arrived here in 1981 for the first community tea, and have somehow been here ever since. Das was a personal friend of mine, as well as a spiritual friend of mine. He didn't come from the world of education. His family actually did not believe in saving money for children to go to college, and he thought that they thought that people that came from college arrived confused and not knowing what to do in the real world. So they preferred that he continue his work, which was at the Norfolk shipyard, which I suspect is where he got a lot of the convenient processes of building things. I can't imagine not being able to build something after you built a battleship. So with his quest for education in all ways, he put himself through college, and so he classified himself as a good old country boy, but that was not how he pursued life. He pursued life as wanting to know, and the highest of what he wanted to know was all encapsulated in Jnana Yoga, which he became quite involved in. I met Swami Daasyananda at the metros, only not where they are now. They were living in a house right beside the Buckingham Post Office while their facility was being built. And this gentleman dropped by frequently, and I met Daasyananda, who never changed his attire in spite of his being a sannyasin. He did not like things that marked you as in any way superior to other people, and he considered wearing his robe as a way of showing that you were of a higher caste, and he didn't like that. If I were to pick a song from the world of songs, from the Das that I knew at first, because as we all are, he was a changing person, it would probably be "I Did It My Way." And he certainly did. When I first met him, he was attired in a flannel shirt with a dowsing rod that he had made look like sort of duct tape, stuffed in his belt, a brown floppy leather hat, which I notice is on the altar even now, and a pair of jeans with red suspenders. And the first thing he said to me at the metro is, well, it's nice to meet you, lassie. And I was thinking, wait a minute, they told me he was a Swami. He doesn't look like a Swami, but I'll accept the fact that he was a Swami. So he was always a little bit doing it my way. But when he met the Guru and loved the Guru, he said to me, I met the man who could teach me the universe. And so that remained his really desire to know the universe. Some people stop at knowing the self, which I think is considerable enough, but he wanted to know the universe. And he used every bit of knowledge that he could get from the Guru and every bit of knowledge he could get from the computer, who I think was his best non-physical friend. He used the computer as a way to learn the things that he was interested in. He would do podcasts to learn how to build a dulcimer, and then the next thing I knew, he was showing me a dulcimer. To make a new bridge to a fiddle, to research a certain Swami's ideas that were in line with our Guru, but not necessarily quite worded the same. And he loved so many different things that it was imperative to him to have something that he could consult on the variety of things. He loved country music, the kind played and sung by the first immigrants, though the old songs. And so he studied building those instruments to play those songs. The fiddle, he built one later. He learned to play an alto harp and how to tune it, which is, I think, the hard part. And then found one in a junk shop and adopted it. I think it's in the case over there in front of the altar. And he always had a song. You could hear him singing as he worked, little songs, little tunes, little things. He always sounded glad while he was doing his service. I can't remember how we got started on this particular thing, but I imagine it was as casual as he was saying he was going out to grab something to eat on a Sunday. Would I like to come with him? And we began 20 years of not missing a single Sunday, going out to get something to eat, but that was not the purpose, obviously, because the length of time that it took us to get to restaurants increased with the thing that he wanted to discuss that day. He was a philosopher of first order, and he wanted to discuss the things that he was learning. So we would go to a restaurant, and if it was just some simple thing that he had heard a nice little saying about, we would end up in Dillon. If it was something that required considerable discussion, we would end up on the verge of Charlottesville. You can imagine how hungry one got trying to figure out where one was going to imbibe on the Sunday dinner. He loved to discuss the small matters of the universe, such as life and death, the mission of humanity, who we really are, how we can handle and create a more caring world out of what we were given, And the places that we went for lunch did not reflect, thank God, all of the things that we were discussing, or no telling what we would have been eating. But his intelligence and his study of the various spiritual paths and how they interacted with their master's teachings made each trip for pasta a real mental exercise for the week. When Das began co-teaching the Jnana Yoga class, in the middle of the week he would arrive at my house with a stack of papers. And would I mind, I was an English teacher, I am a retired English teacher, and would I mind checking his commas? That was very rarely what was going on. He would bring me his lesson plans. He wanted to make sure that his lessons would be deeply interesting and that would lead the students where they wanted to get. The proofing of commas was not a real thing. But he was so serious, and this was something that I just loved, of giving the students the very best that he could give, that he really liked trying it all out on me in advance. So I can say with real assurance that this karma yogi learned a lot of Jnana Yoga in the many, many Sundays that weekly proofing and auditing the class in the car as we went places to eat. Das also had an intense focus on justice and fairness. Systems bothered him a little. He wanted every system to work so that each person was valued and dealt with entirely fairly. And his idea of what was fair was often just verging a little on the revolutionary side. He wanted attention to the reasons for any rules and processes that were used to guide the people. This often came across as a bit of rebellion. And he also saw no reason for robes or the emphasis placed on people being more yogic across the street. That's exactly the reverse. We were considered not as yogic if we were across the street. So he created an online newsletter called The Voice of the Sangha. Online sharing news sheets that allowed for people to express their diversity of opinion in any way. Das was a nature lover. He could camp anywhere. He could tell you how to go anywhere in the state for a nice lake, a stream, and he loved to take a spiritual book with him so that he could meditate. And he very often went totally by himself so that he could do the meditation. People didn't know much about Das because he didn't emphasize anything that he was doing himself. But I learned snatches of his background and buckets of his philosophy, and I will miss Sunday in the universe with Das. Thank you so much for letting me speak.
No, okay. I seem very, oh, there I am. Hi, my name is Shanti Wagner, Reverend Shanti Wagner, and here I am speaking about Das. I first came here in 1994, and I started working on building a house, and when I got, speak louder, Is that better? Can you hear now?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to sound like an elephant here. When the house got to the part where I could have people in it, we started a meeting of Vedanta. I had been studying Advaita Vedanta in India just before I came. So we met on Tuesday night, myself and Das and Swami Siddhananda. And we watched videos and we read documents and we talked, but everything was focused on the Vedanta. There was no other, we weren't talking about cars or pizza or anything like that. So what I'm going to do is just give you little bits of, there's 3 little points I want to make about, because it was such a short time, I was told 3 minutes, to say one of the things that I learned from Das. Okay, so the first one was in this meeting, the whole thing was on focus, which is what I learned in India too, is you focus on the divine all the time, Vedanta. That's it, pretty much, yeah. So we had so much fun with it though, and it was lively, we laughed a lot, we told stories. The main focus was the self is the key to everything. That was the message from Das and from the meetings. And they went on for about 4 years. Okay. Then the second little group is, I used to take him to the dentist or the doctor. I took him places a lot over the years. And this is before he got quieted down. We were going from Gold Hill Clinic to Dill when he needed to go to the store, and there was this barn on the left-hand side of the road. He pointed to the barn. It was a dark brown barn with no windows, and it was tall. It was a weird, tall, one-room barn. And he said, "Do you see that barn?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "That's a tobacco drying barn." And his family. He and his family, when he was way younger, before he went off to all his other escapades, they hung tobacco in the barns. That's one of the jobs they had. And he said, our family was so full of love. We had the biggest hearts, and we would do this with so much love. We all loved hanging tobacco. And then when that happened, it's like all the practices of all the years he spent in meditation opened up his heart way open, and the whole world changed in front of me as I was driving down the road, because Das opened up to the eternal right there on the road. And what I want to say about that I think is really helpful is that the core of the self is the heart, and that when you start with a little love in the family, or a little love for a flower, or you have some experience in your life that brings you to that, that's the beginning of this thing that you just keep expanding. And that's something that I think Das was exceptionally good at. So that was one. And the last one is, Das had a really unusual mind. He was like almost in blocks, and he would talk in blocks, and he would talk slowly, and you could tell it was always a lot of work for him to try to express himself. It was like slow and deliberate, and you had to hold on and wait. So he found some very esoteric readings about all the different levels of reality, and he got really into this thing. I mean, this is like his life was, what are all the levels of reality, and then where do you go after death, and what is so important? How do you get into the Vedanta? How do you get into that Advaita, that full-on existence, without having any distractions from the physical? So he's totally into this stuff, and I would look at some of it and I go, God, to me, it put me to sleep. But I have a completely different mind, and that is that the truth is one and the paths are many. Everybody has a different path, And each one of them is available. Yeah. So you take your little footsteps and you just go to the next step. And some of it's pretty crazy, but it all works. That's really an important point, is this place is nuts, but it's great. And DOS is a great example. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Hari Om. That was really good stuff all the way along. Everything Shiva, Dhyani, and Shanti said was so right on. Bhavani and I met Das in 1974 in Denver, and we had just started the institute there on South Clarkson. And we went to a family day, and family day meant Das, about 2 other women that were living in the house, Bhavani and me, and 5 kids. So I sat down beside Das, and he turned and looked at me in his deep Southern drawl. He says, "Hello, my name's Brother Bhargava. What's yours?" At the time, I had my English name still, and I told him. And he said, "I just like to know who I'm eating with." And he started eating, and that was it. That was the conversation. So he was in Denver for a while, and we got to know each other. And then we moved to Connecticut in '79. And just as we moved in, a few months later, Das and Ramakrishna, his family, the Newmans, moved here to Yogaville. They were the first residents. And Das moved with them. And I remember standing out in front of the, I think we were standing in front of the school, and there's a big U-Haul truck loaded up. Ramakrishna was jumping in, Das was jumping in. They were all coming down here. And that was the beginning of Yogaville, the real beginning. So then a few years later, well, over the years, as Dhyani said, Das would come to our home. We would always visit with him, and he was always fun. I mean, he had that sweetness in him all the time, and that Southern grace, you know, where, boy, sugar would melt in his mouth. He was so sweet, right? And we would enjoy ourselves, and we then eventually built our home across the road, and when we drilled our well, we only got 3/4 of a gallon of water. And if you know what that means, that's almost no water, especially for an apartment building. So I called Das and I said, "Is there anything we can do about this?" He says, "I think there's something we can do." So he came over with his rod and he drove stakes in the ground. And he redirected the water from the well had missed the veins of water, and he redirected it into our well. And we didn't get a lot of water, but we got enough that we never had to drill another well. So then in about 10 years ago, I think it was 10 or 12 years ago, Das wanted to start the Jnana Yoga class, and he came to me and he says, "I'm not sure I can do this. I may get in trouble with the ashram for starting Jnana Yoga, because, you know, that's not something that Gurudev specifically taught. He never wrote a book on Jnana Yoga. We all know this. You know, Vivekananda wrote a beautiful one, Shivananda, but Gurudev never wrote it because Gurudev was a teacher that he taught everything. You know, you could walk in the door with no yoga and learn from him, or you could be ready for realization and learn from him. So he taught A to Z. But Jnana Yoga is out on the Z, right, the path of knowledge. Once you get to the point where you're asking the questions, you know, what is this? What is the universe? Who am I? You know, the only important question really, who am I? When you ask those questions, you need Jnana Yoga because the knowledge, as Gurudev said, the knowledge comes first. So you do this great study. And so Das had embarked on this great study, as Shiva said, in about 1977, 78 it was. And Gurudev confirmed it, you go this way. So Das, that's all he did was Jnana Yoga after that. He did some Karma Yoga, of course, still a little, but then he got into Jnana Yoga. And So I told him, I'll lead interference for you with the ashram, which I didn't really do anything. I just said, it's okay, go ahead and start. I always figured, jump first and then find out what's going to happen later. And so Das started the class, and it went real well in person and then online. And I have to say, he really loved that. Every Thursday night he was there for years and years and years. And he really loved the people in his class. If you're listening now, whoever was in the class, he loved you. And he would come over to my house and he would say, I'm just not getting through to him. I just need to do better. I just need to do more. How can I get through to him, Bhagavan? And I said, well, if I knew, I'd be there doing it. Because that's the most difficult thing. I think that when someone gets the truth like he got it, the most difficult thing is to convey it to anyone, because the world exists on ignorance of the self. If we all became realized, suddenly nothing would happen, because all the creation would dissolve, because there'd be no action in that. Because in the absolute, the pure consciousness, there is no action. It's absolute peace. It's absolute stillness. Oh, I said that, my mind stopped. So then, 2 weeks ago, well, Das and I worked together here, and we did a lot of things together, enjoyed ourselves, and we love to argue. Vedantins love to argue. So if you ever find someone who's really argumentative, tell them to take up the path of Vedanta, because it's allowed. And the subtleties, you just get in, you're splitting hairs. And of course, like Gurudev said, it doesn't mean anything, because in philosophy, neither the philosopher, one speaking or the one listening, knows what they're talking about. But the argument is fun because it makes us strive deeper, and we challenge each other and say, no, that's not it. Find something deeper. So deeper, deeper, and deeper. And eventually what happens is we get to the source of the I, the small I, and we see it has no reality. It's just an idea. But for something that has no reality, it sure causes a lot of problems. So once we see that, then, as Das did, you enter into a state of absolute stillness, absolute silence, or as he called it, pure awareness. And he just stayed there for 30 years, and he would teach people that. So the last 2 weeks, then, we came to, I was called by my brother Mitra, said, Das has fallen at the trailer, can you come over? And it was Friday night, and I said, yes, I'll come over. So I went over because he's my friend, and he was laying on the floor, and we got him up, got him in his bed, and then we had everybody in the ashram. Shiva was there, Karunananda was there, Daasyananda was there, and we tried to talk him into going to the hospital, but he would not go. So we had to leave him there at the house, so I was going to check in with him the next day. And when I came in to check with him, found him again on the floor. And so when Krishna came over and helped us lift him up, and when we lifted him up, he passed out again because his heart wasn't powerful enough to get the blood up to his head anymore. So we were trying to get him to the hospital. He wouldn't go again. He said, no, I want to stay here. I'm done with this body. We said, but you have to go. And so Judith Evangelist, by the way, is a beautiful professional at doing this. She got him to go. EMTs took him. We went to Martha Jefferson. He was there for 2 days taking okay, gotcha. Taking the intravenous and everything, and he got back on his feet a little bit. So they released him to physical therapy. But when he got over to physical therapy, he told me, I don't want to do this. And he gave me the right to tell his caretakers there, caregivers, the medical people, what to do, because he knew I would release him. Most people wouldn't, and it was hard. It wasn't an easy thing, because I loved him. I wanted him to still be around. So I told him he doesn't want anything done in physical therapy. And then he just lied in his room, and he quit eating, and he quit drinking. And he had made the decision he was leaving the body. Second to the last time I saw him, we had a nice discussion, and we would sit in quiet for about 15 minutes, and then we'd talk. And he just looked at me and said, "It's all God." And then he closed his eyes. We meditated a while, I left. And then I came back. The next time he was in coma. There was no communication. And then on Friday night, I came back at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the evening. This was before he passed that morning, next morning. And the peace in that room was absolute. I had the joy of sitting in Vashishta Cave in Rishikesh last year, and the peace was absolute in Vashishta. It was absolute in that room. So I knew at that moment that Das had been released into that supreme peace, as Gurudev calls it. So his wish for you, I know, is that all of you experience that in this lifetime. And the scriptures tell us, and all these saints and sages tell us, if we do the path and we stay on the path, if not while we're in the body, we will be released, at least at death. So we will all be released. Those who stay true to the path will be released at death. I believe that 100%. And I wish that for all of you, and I know Das does too. Thank you. Om Shanti.
Thank you, Reverend Bhagavan. And thank you for your service. I take this moment to thank all those who have served our beloved Dasji during, before, and it's been so many people who have cared, so to speak, while he was in the body, and through deep, deep friendship. You all know who you are. Deepest gratitude. And now we will have another beautiful tribute by Swarupanandaji in Hawaii. And this will be read by Reverend Siva. Thank you.
Thank you again. Yes, Rupananda wrote a loving tribute here. Let's read that. There's a little two parts here. So whenever I think of him, I picture the roots of a great tree. Everyone admires the trunk, the branches, the flowers, and the fruit. But without healthy roots, none of these could exist. The roots remain hidden beneath the ground, quietly drawing nourishment from the earth, giving it to the whole tree. He was one of the roots of Yogaville. Formless awareness, infinite and eternal, beautiful. Daasyananda, the bliss of selfless service, he truly lived his name. He never sought recognition or praise. He was happy to do his job and be in the background. If something needed to be repaired, he repaired it. If someone needed help, he helped. If there was work to be done, he quietly did it and moved on to the next task. Even plumbing, work that is hidden beneath the surface, was for him an expression of karma yoga, and in the deepest levels that carry the water of life. For decades, he quietly nourished Yogaville through his selfless service like the roots of a tree. He asked for no attention, yet everything flourished because of his faithful care. His love of Sri Gurudev was the center of his life. His study of Jnana Yoga, his meditation, his handwritten reminders of the Supreme Self all flowed from that love. He showed us that the deepest spiritual life need not be separate from ordinary work. The same hands that repaired pipes could play the fiddle, fashion a dowsing rod, prepare a lesson for the self, and fold in reverence to the Guru. His humility was genuine. His joy came not from being recognized, but from being useful. Swami Daasyananda leaves behind a legacy of service, devotion, wisdom, humor, and love. The roots he planted continue to nourish the tree he loved. May his eternal soul abide in the infinite peace of the self. With love and gratitude, Swarupananda. Shanti.
I'll take this opportunity to thank our beloved brother Swarupanandaji, far away in Hawaii. Thank you, Swarupanandaji. We miss you. We hope to see you sometime soon. Thank you, Reverend Siva. Now, I would like to just read a few more written tributes. And then we will move on to have an opportunity to have a little slideshow. And then those others of lassies and laddies who would like to share, we look forward to that. You are welcome to close the eyes as well, because it's just being read. It's up to you. First is from Madhuri Hanuman, long-time devotee, close friend of Daasyananda-ji. Beloveds all, I first met Sri Swami Daasyananda in an elevator in New York City in 1975. I was 18 years old and already a devotee for several years. We were going up and he was focused on chanting Ram, Ram, Ram out loud. This was unusual. I looked over at him and he looked at me for a moment and then resumed his focused mantra chanting on God in the form of Ram. I thought to myself, this guy is really going for it. He didn't care at all who was in the elevator or what they thought of him. In 1988, while living in Yogaville, by the grace of the Guru, I experienced an awareness or awakening of consciousness, the vision of the divine self, as it were. Shortly thereafter, I met Jai Hurd, who had received the same grace of awakening earlier that year. As Guru Bhais, Das happened to share his challenges with both of us. Soon, his struggles fell away, and he also received the vision of the self, never to identify himself as the mind again. I will never forget the day the three of us gathered outside the woodshop to hear Das share his experience. We stood in silence for a long time. The shared consciousness of the one self was an experience of grace beyond words. Not long after, Das and Swami Sudananda began having weekly meetings to study scripture, allowing their experience to become slowly, naturally established in peace. Years later, these Sangha meetings eventually evolved into the Satchidananda Jnana Sangha, or SJS. Sri Ishwara Cohen, peace be with him, joined the Jnana group a few short years ago and highly recommended the group. Thanks to his consistent recommendation, I eventually joined a year and a half ago to be with Das. It was such a divine delight to witness Das in his moments of pure joy and gratitude, ecstasy for the blessing of being bestowed this liberating consciousness and for the grace of the Guru that made it possible. Not only did Das forge a direct path to become established in his realization of the self through dedicated scripture study and confidence in his own immutable experience as the one self, but took time to selflessly share his experience with a few others and encourage them ceaselessly, patiently, compassionately, and wisely to recognize their own true self. Every member of the Jnana group has the highest respect, love, and gratitude to Das and have benefited greatly from his presence, wisdom, and loving guidance. He was crystal clear in what he shared from his own experience. He never wavered. He was and is a great sage, a great and accomplished Jnana yogi, a great light of Satchidananda for all of us. The only thing that's real, in one way or another, he said over and over again, the only thing that's real is the one self. The pure consciousness that knows itself, that's the only thing that really exists. Victory to his light of wisdom, victory to his self-realization, victory to his liberation. Om Tat Sat, Aham Brahmasmi, Shivoham Soham. Om, peace, peace, peace. Shanti, shanti. Thank you, Madhuri. Now from our beloved and read it to him, and I believe he saw him, Dasji, respond a little bit through physical movement. So Deepa, thank you so much for sending this. I have an honor to read it for you. She begins say, "Hey Das, it's been years since we shared time, coffee, and talked together, but I wanted to stop what I'm doing here, which isn't much these days, and say hello. I felt a strong urge to let you know how much I always enjoyed you and any time we spent together. I haven't heard much about you in the last few years, but I knew you were in Yogaville and living the life you have chosen. You lived among them, but you did it your way. Wanted you to know that I always respected and experienced your style and choices, those that I saw or know about. It all made a strong, faithful, rebellious, funny, unusual, committed Swami. You should be proud of yourself in the best way. I know you have limited or few visitors, but I wanted to butt in anyway from Venice, California, and let you know how you affected me. It is in a good way, and I thank you. You are a standout, and I always remember you with love and fun. Thank you, Das. See you down the road. Deepa Lani McNulty. Thank you, Deepa. Om Shanti. And the last one that I read today is from someone who probably, knew Das since he was a child. Eden Talton. I was asked to write a few words about Das. It's hard to know what to say. He was part of my life for over 40 years to me. He was always the same. My first memory of him is more of his truck, which was actually an old blue Plymouth Volare wagon. I thought it was a low ride because the suspension was bottomed all the way out from the weight of tools. You can just see it, can you? Weight of tools, fittings, and probably even a kitchen sink in the back. He was clearly a busy man back then, helping build Yogaville. Das knew my father before I did. They met in college and both graduated with master's degree in social work, then somehow reunited in Yogaville years later. My best memories of him are the Boy Scout years. I was never a scout, and I don't really know what Das and Dad were, but they were the ones taking us camping. We had a lot of fun adventures, like building a camp, were the ones taking us camping down by the airstrip. He's talking about this here, our Yogaville land, with about a 20-foot bridge to get to it. And we went camping in the national forest, sometimes even in freezing rain and snow. It would be Dad and Das in an unreliable orange Jeep Cherokee with a bunch of kids and camping gear in the back. Das loved the mountains and camping. He always came prepared with about 2 weeks' worth of food, even if it was just a weekend trip. He would bring maps and a compass, mostly because he had a bad sense of direction. We teased him about that. He would just smile. He told us once he got lost in the fog and had to sleep on the ground. He woke up the next morning only 100 feet from his campsite. We learned a lot about God and philosophy sitting around the fire, Das searching for the answers. Dad was sure he had the answers. He just couldn't convince Das they were the right answers. It was fun listening, and they always welcomed our opinions. We had a lot of fun back then. I'm grateful for those times. Later, Das was my co-worker, Yogaville plumber, although he didn't seem to like plumbing very much, especially single wide trailers. Him and Mohan were a good pair, one as grumpy as the next, complaining about whoever was the last one to work on something and why they did this or that. Das was usually the first one to say with a smile, "Come on, Mohan, let's get back to work." After Mohan passed away, Das decided his body was getting too old to be climbing under houses and fixing leaks. He did errands after that and stocked our plumbing fittings up until he lost his driver's license earlier this year. I saw him every time I needed a plumbing fitting, which was a lot. It is in Das's trailer in the back room. It's strange going in his trailer without him there. He will be missed. I hope he's enjoying the true self. Thank you, Eden. And thank you, everyone, for your tributes. Now we will have a montage, slideshow, very brief, of those whose photos were in his trailer. Please. I may mention some people's names, as you may not know them. They were very close. Thank you. Maybe I should take this opportunity to thank you, the AV group, Alejandro and Jeremy, worked so hard. We only found 4 photos at the beginning. And then I think Nancy, are you here, Nancy? Yes, Nancy, were you the one playing violin, or you were not? There are many local people who Das did music with. And Nancy provided some of the beautiful photos. Thank you so much for being with us today. And now, it's just the Mohan Wenzel was one of the real partner in service, so close. And so his photo was still in Das's trailer. And Eden's father, John Narayana Tolton, with the heart shape, and your sister, was that your sister? Who? Ah, your youngest sister, yes, that photo was there. And they were so close together, and they ended up in Yogaville together. So now, Mary Roberts, the violinist, some of you may remember, she taught our Vidyalaya children violin, is that right, Savanandaji? Or, yeah. So they played music together. So now we have an opportunity to hear other Sangha member, laddies and lassies, Mitra, Metro, and others who would wish to please come forward. If we ask that if you can, keep it within 3 minutes. And how many of you, I mean, just please come forward, and maybe you can be seated in the front there before you come. Oh, by the way, at the end, there will be a audio of Jnana Yoga group speaking with Das speaking. So that's something to look forward to.
Good morning. I am Pure Awareness, formerly known as Metro. This is what Das gave us an endless regime of whenever we came around. And he would always hide it, like Diani was saying, in, oh, my computer needs repair. Like he would come over, and before 2 minutes, he was already into Jnana Yoga. But this tradition of Jnana Yoga goes way back. And there was Chidananda of Rishikesh, Master Krishnananda of Rishikesh, Master Brahmananda of Rishikesh, all of them, and Venkateshananda of Rishikesh. They were all Jnana Yogis, very, very strong Jnana Yogis. But Master Shivananda said, and watch this little display back here, meditation is the dissolution of thoughts in eternal awareness, pure consciousness without objectification, knowing without thinking, merging finitude in infinity. Sri Swami Shivanandaji, thank you.
I remember Daasyananda as we say unflappable, right? I never remember him being upset about anything. And in reference to that he was a social worker, we all went to work at one point. Everyone, Gurudev wasn't sending any money down here. You people might to make this go yourself. And so we would commute, 5 of us in a car, or 2 or 3 cars. And he had just the right temperament for helping people. And so he stayed with the social work for so long. Anyway, I think that he had no fear in him. Maybe many don't know that he was an adventurer. He was a daredevil. I know this because he was a spelunker. Anyone not know what that is? He's a cave explorer. And what he loved was wild caving. That means you go into a hole in the ground, and if it's a live cave, it still has water coming in and out of it, you know, that dissolves the minerals. And here, Virginia and West Virginia are full of these limestone caves. And he was a vertical caver. That means that he would come to a hole, tie his rope off, take his descending ring, and he would just go into the darkness. And then he had ascenders, you know, which are cam locks for climbing back up. But I went a little caving with him and joined the UVA Cave Club, but I always respected him, and I think that you don't go into a hole like that with fear in your heart. So maybe you can relate to how calm he was with that. I always called him Uncle. He's a couple years older from me, but it was just like, I just felt that respect. Uncle Das, but I just called him Uncle. And I didn't introduce myself and say, yeah, I'm Ramakrishna, and I'm sure that Das wouldn't mind if I make a slight correction. It was Brother Jnana who drove down here with us in September 1979. Das came later in 1980, and the Newmans, and then, you know, so 80, 81 were really our big growth years down here as far as getting a toehold. You know what I mean, Siva? Yes, so anyway. Peace, Uncle Das.
My name is Harry Bucker. Excuse me, some of you may know me. I've been around here a long time anyway. And then I was with Das in the very early days here, because he and I had one thing in common right off the bat. We were both native Virginians. And that was a fairly rare event in those days. So, you know, I was coming to the ashram, and it was a new scene, kind of a new scene, people from all over the world. And so it felt kind of good to run to another Virginian here, you know. And so that always was sort of a opening gate that got us to know each other better. And most of the points I was going to make have already been made already about his social work. This was pretty much over by the time he and I got together, which was in the early 80s. This ashram was just getting started here. I was coming down from Richmond. I still worked in the bank in Richmond. I found out here today that he also worked at the shipyard in Newport News, where I went through an apprenticeship there, and I didn't even know that until now. So that was another bond we had. That's wow. So in addition to his social work, and we know he was a karma yogi, they've talked about his plumbing. I just remember some, you know, you remember certain things that stick in your mind. I remember seeing him crawling under some of those old trailers when the pipes had frozen up in the wintertime, and he's under there thawing them out. You know, I said, now there's dedicated karma yogi right there. Wow, that's and it was not easy work, and he took it on and had to do it, I'm sure, numbers of times. We talked about his plumbing. He was also a pretty efficient woodworker, and he used to, we had a woodworking shop, we still have it up there, and he spent a lot of time there, and I know he made toys for some of the kids. I think he was also pretty heavily involved in building the camping cabins that we established up there for right, Siva? And so he did a lot of, you know, very critical work. And another thing I'll mention that hadn't gotten too much play here was his interest in music. He and I both had an interest in country music, and I like music in general, but There's a music teacher in Scottsville, Mary Hardy Roberts. I don't know how many people here remember Mary. Is Nancy here? Oh, hi, it's Nancy. She and Mary lived together in this great big house up there in Scottsville, and they have get-togethers with this group called the Family Players, Mary's Family Players, and she, made it feel like a family, right, Nancy? It was totally, you come right into that, and you're in a family situation, whether you want to be or not. And Mary was a wonderful person. She was a music teacher who had established a very big practice in Philadelphia and somewhere up in Pennsylvania before she came here. But she had gotten a collection of about 40 violins and fiddles, which she made available to her children who she taught classes to. And so those fiddles had to be kept tuned up, and they had to be worked on after the kids had dealt with them a lot. Das volunteered for all of that work, and he was very dedicated to Mary. He really had, and I did too, think she was such a wonderful person. She was close with Gurudev and helped with children here in Yogaville, taught them classes, as well as anybody around Central Virginia. She had lots of connections. So we used to travel. He and I would drive from Yogaville up to her place for programs and for classes and things, and I got to know him pretty well through that. And it was a big thing. He really had a great feel for her, and he felt like she was one of his spiritual teachers too. I know he did. So, and we mentioned nature lover. I built a house here. He doused the well for me. We got 6 or 7 gallons a minute. It's still flowing. Never had a bit of problem with it. And not everybody on our road can say that. So I'm thankful for that. And they talked about his camping. He once shared with me, I don't know how it came up, in one of our camping trips, he was talking about the affinity he felt with the nature when he was out there in that camping, and feel like he identified with certain animals. And, just like the Native Americans named each other after animals quite often, and I'm sure he's got a lot of that history somewhere in his calming background, no doubt. But whenever he went on his camping trips, he always took along books about Vedanta. I think somebody's mentioned that. And I don't know, since he retired, I didn't see much of him. I just assumed he was getting deeper into his spiritual practices, and but we'll miss him. And he was a great friend to me, and was from so many others as well. I see all these faces around here. Thank you.
So Swami Daasyananda and I went to the same college, Christopher Newport University. Does anybody know where that is? Newport News, Virginia. Did you go to Newport News?
We visited one time.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly, I was thinking about
Yeah, and he went. You did? Uh-huh. So, we talked about that. I met him, but we didn't meet each other there. He was like 10 years before, something like that, 15 years before me there. And I was there in the 1980s through mid-1980. So I met him, even though I was coming here since the 90s, I met him in 2000 when my partner passed away. My partner was a Jnana yogi, and he followed Gurudev. He knew Gurudev since 1972. When I met Daasyananda, I was here in the room, in the multipurpose room back there one time, and I was so grieving about Stephen that he came straight to me. And he sat down, he started talking to me. And last, he put his arm on my back. He said, all relationships end in pain. And I was like, that's not what I want to hear, buddy. So, yeah, he said, but don't worry, because, I said, I feel so bad, and I see darkness all around, because I had really let myself hit the bottom with grieving about Stephen. And he said, but you are the absolute self. You're the light. What do you have to worry about, And then whatever you said or did, he would take you back to the diagram there. It's true, whoever said that. Yeah, so, but I'm not interested in that at all. I was interested in his sweetness, his loving energy. And to me, all I saw was a bhakta. I really did. Because every time he tried to turn on the jnana, I would turn it off. I was not interested. I just tune out, And he even said to me and tried to convince me, Swami Satchidananda, our own guru, is the perfect. He is just straight jnana yoga. And I said, no, he's not. He's a bhakta. He's not a jnana. He said, did you hear him say that? He goes, Gurudev is a jnana yogi. I said, no, he's not. So anyway, a testament to Das's God realization is the timing of his passing. Truly. I have a friend who's a Vedic astrologer, and Daasyananda, his soul picked this because this is all he wanted all his life, to have the absolute, the experience of the absolute. And back, he told me, when I first came here, he told me that he went to Gurudev and told him, I want to have the experience of the absolute, Gurudev. And he kept bugging Gurudev about it. And finally, Gurudev, relented. And one time, Daasyananda had that experience. And then, the next day or a few days later, Gurudev came by and saw him, and he nodded. He goes, And Daasyananda said, yes, Gurudev, he did have the experience. And Gurudev said something to him to the effect that there's work to be done still. That's very nice, but there's work to be done. So, so he did have the experience of the absolute. So his soul chose the timing, even though he didn't know it consciously on a different level. He didn't plan it like astrologers do. I'm going to start fasting so many days before the full moon, and I will leave my body on such and such a day. That's exactly what happened. He left the body 2 days before the full moon, which is the supermoon still. And he left during Brahma Muhurta, which is, I think, around 4:30 in the morning, somebody said he left, or 4:45, something like that. And also, astrologically, that time was not just any Guru Purnima or any full moon, but it was called, in astrology, they call it Barbeau's basket. That only happens once every so many centuries. And you ask, you get what you want. If you pass, especially during that time, you get exactly what you want. So if he is here with us, which I feel his presence, he's here just to honor us, to, be with us and our love. But other than that, after this, he doesn't have to be around anymore. So to me, Daasyananda represents the very best of humanity. Everywhere, anywhere in the world. Some religions say that, I don't know which religion is it, I forgot, somebody told me, there are 33 people on this planet at all times. If one leaves, another one comes to replace him. And that are so pure and selfless and loving, no matter what, that the universe keeps us going because of those 33 people. So I think Daasyanandaji is one of those 33 people, was. And as you saw in his pictures, he's full of light. And the other thing is, I took him voting. We talked what I was interested in, and also in politics. We talked about politics, we talked about voting, and we never missed one time voting because I drove him there. So that's it. Om Shanti.
From what I've heard today, Swami Daasyananda ji was a chameleon. If you're a bhakti yoga, you saw his sweetness and all the greatness of his heart. If you're a jnana yogi, you saw the brilliance of his ascension and being able to go beyond. And certainly all of us who have been trained in the great skill of karma yoga saw it manifested in our beloved brother. Daasyananda wrote a poem about Virginia, which I had in my files for years, and it would make you transcend the moment if you read it. I can't find it. If any of you have his poetry, I would be delighted if you would make a copy and return that to me. And if I find it, I will get it published someplace and sent to all of you. It was so inspiring. I grew up in West Virginia, and he, being a Virginia boy, the way he described his land is what I felt a great deal about my home land. One thing I would like to share with all who are sitting here today. If you're a maintenance person, you wear usually a belt with all your tools all around, and you do your job. You come in your uniform. If you're a police person, you come in your uniform. If you're a fire person, you come in your uniform. If you're a sannyasi, you come in a robe. If you're a minister, you put a little trim around your collar. And it's not because any of those in these latter two categories feel superior to anyone else. It's because we're here to show you that we're here to serve you. We are here as your servants. So any of those ideas that were presented today that may be projected that we feel superior in any way, Gurudev always showed us there are many ways to walk in this world, and when that path becomes obvious to you, get on it and walk it. Because it's a big drama, and it's just our costumes that we're putting on. And I think Das played his part very well. Thank you all so much.
Anyone else? Yes.
I have a teeny one.
I'm Hanuman, and I knew Das quite a long time. I've been here over 30 years, but he came both when I was building my house and when my parents were building their house, and worked with them with Mohan and plumbing, and always really ready to do service. And it's so beautiful, everything that's been said about him and all the history here. And what really touched me most of all was thinking about the future and how to carry what he taught us forward, to keep it alive. And the one thing, you won't be surprised to hear from me as an activist, was when it was said that he cared about fairness and justice, and maybe even bordering on revolution. So, besides the Jnana Yoga, I hope we will continue that spirit forward. Thank you.
Two teeny funny stories. because Daasyananda, this is my memory of him. 2 funny things that he said, but I have to demonstrate. I don't know if I can do it with this. Can you still hear me? Yeah. Okay. Can I? All right. Well, I need my hands. All right, so this has been fabulous, hasn't it? Yeah. It's very special, and Swami Daasyananda is very special, as is everyone. All right, it was summer and the Olympics, 16 days, and we could watch in the multipurpose room. Anytime you were free from your work duties, you could watch the Olympics. And I was in there, and Arya was in there. We were in there all the time. But this night, I was the only one in that room. Arya was doing kitchen cleanup. She's drying the dishes. And in those days, we ate. The food was served inside the kitchen, as you remember. And Daasyananda was there getting his dinner. And I saw something fabulous in the Olympics, and Arya's in the kitchen. I had to tell her about it, and there was a commercial break. So I came in the kitchen, I said, she's drying the dishes, he's getting his supper, and I said, Arya, you should see what I saw. This was incredible. And Daasyananda said, how big was the fish? Okay, so that's one. And the second one, sometimes I was a receptionist out here, and whatever, I attended to it. And he came there, and he went like this. And I said, what is that? And he went, 2 stamps. He wanted to buy 2 stamps. Hari Om.
Hari Om. So we'll move on to our last sharing of Jnana group tribute and the word of wisdom by Swami Daasyananda. Thank you all for your sharing. I think we all can say each one of us is quite as unique and different as Das. He is enjoying this, I think, now. So please, can you start? Yes.
Das was a jewel. So.
Absolutely. He had that smile, you know, like the cat.
Das was a jewel. So.
Absolutely. He had that smile, you know, like the cat that caught the mouse, because he did catch the mouse. He knew, he had the knowledge, he had the experience, and he would have that little smile. It was a twinkle, a little mischievous twinkle. It was beautiful.
He'd say that about the mantra. The mantra would fade, it'd go, dissolve.
In consciousness, it disappears because we're studying prior to consciousness. So consciousness is gone. and it's only the self, right?
He was so consistent in repeating this whenever the opportunity came up or whenever it was appropriate that
So tell us what he repeated. When he always repeated that, so we can write it down.
Well, we have his recording of it. Can any of us say it word for word now, the way he said it?
because apparently he was experiencing this.
That's right. That was his experience. He spoke about it from that place.
Not as a concept or an idea, but what he was experiencing. That just amazed.
So he has to come back so we can get it.
Come back, and what did you mean?
Well, he's already here now, everywhere.
You know, it's every time we would go off the beaten path, he would kind of reel us in.
He'd
You know?
say, all I know is that I'm consciousness and without the body, without the mind, in infinite. What were some of the other words he used to describe a state of consciousness?
And he also gave to me a very good hint. I have problems with samsara. And he gave a short little blurb on how he dealt with samsaras. And he said he'd try and do something else. I'd like to go back to that again, but my memory is that he would just eventually, if you didn't put energy into that samsara, you didn't adopt it right then and try and repeat it, because samsara is repeated action. And not repeated, it would eventually go away. It would dissolve. And that was a great help to me, because you can fighting it is ridiculous on the mind about that samsara or so. I want to go back to that again. I want to find that. So, but
What was it? Formless, infinite consciousness that knows itself.
yes, he said the self knows itself. Only the self can know the self.
You could make it so that you were in the same on the same level, so you didn't have to write it down.
Very clear, very clear.
Yeah, very simple. The truth is so simple, you know, and he had it. Yeah.
He'd keep going to that again and again.
We might consider what our ordinary reality actually is. The ordinary reality is sense impressions sent to the brain, and the brain interprets them and presents a three-dimensional image, including the body, the mind. It's just a three-dimensional image. And we find that out when we go into meditation and the world disappears, which tells us right there that there's no reality to the world. And each of us has our own world with some common features. So the only thing that's really real is what's left after the world disappears, after the I am consciousness disappears. And the self is always there. It never goes away. It never changes. So the entire universe is just like a Bugs Bunny cartoon. So at what point do we realize that the whole thing is an illusion? I would submit, first of all, that we first realize it when we experience ourselves as formless awareness in the deep sleep state. Until you experience yourself as formless awareness in the deep sleep state, the only thing that you know is what the mind tells you. But when you experience yourself as formless consciousness, you realize that you're not the body, and you're not the mind, and you're not the individual, and you're not the universe, and you're not the world. So in a way, your real spiritual progress begins when you experience yourself as the formless awareness in the deep sleep state. Because in the deep sleep state, you exist, but there's no world, and there's no body, and there's no universe, and there's no individual. It's the life force that's actually makes the illusion of the individual possible. But in deep sleep, we see that there's no individual. We see there's no Swami Daasyananda. And in the self, which is formless awareness without the mind being present, there's definitely no individual. So when you experience yourself as the self, which is pure existence that knows itself, when you experience it a number of times, even once is enough, if you're smart, if you're paying attention. If you experience it one time and you're paying attention, your whole identity changes. We only know that which we are in silence. When the mind is totally still and quiet, we begin to realize what we are, not in talking. And that's why we meditate, right? We meditate to go into the stillness and into the quiet where the mind gets still. And it's only in the stillness that we will realize ourselves.
Glorious event this morning in honor, memory of, and the presence of our beloved brother, a great soul, an enlightened being, Sri Swami Daasyananda Maharaj. And I would like to close with one sentence tribute by one of our sisters, Swami Sudananda, whom I went to see 2 days ago. She was in a deep sleep. She was woken up by her roommate. She opened her eyes and she recognized me. And then I said, "You know about Dasji?" And she said, "Yes." "Would you like to say anything, share anything?" She was silent. So I said, "Do you want to say something?" She said, "I'm thinking." Silence. And this is what she shared. Let's see what Das talked was how he lived. Period. Thank you, Sudanandaji. She was the first one to start the Jnana yoga class with Das. And then Bhaktanandaji came a little later and started again. And then some others joined, and it is going. And we want to really honor and thank the Jnana Yoga group. You heard the voice of Visakan, Lakshmi, last name is escaping me. Scalini, yes. Mitra Mitra, of course. Bhaktanandaji. I think there are a few others who are meeting every Thursday. Still continues. We are planning just one more time a gathering to be able to share thousands of pages of printouts of Jnana Yoga teachings in his own words and from scripture. So we will make that available sometimes. And many of his books full in his trailer. And so thank you, Jnana Group, for continuing. And one last sharing is from Swami Daasyanandaji's his actually will, which he wrote 2 years ago. Very simple. And the very end, and the envelope, it says, at the time of my death. So we opened. At the very one page before the last, it said, after all the practical matters, he wrote, as a Jnana yogi, as a bhakti, as an incredible human being, if I have hurt anyone, please forgive all. And then there was a blank. I don't know what would have been the word, but this was his last communication, what he felt wanted to share with us. Yeah. And so let us close with the words from Gurudev and a closing chant. From Sri Gurudev, the best memorial for the departed soul is to lead our lives in some small way a little better in their memory. Let the best in them live on in us. Of course, this is a sad occasion, but at the same time joyous. They haven't really died. They're just continuing. The freedom they are now experiencing is a great source of joy. Feel a little sad, but remember, they are well and not far removed from us. We can all help them to continue by not binding them with too much sadness. We should be wishing them well in a joyous spirit. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Savesham Swastir Bhavatu, Savesham Shantir Bhavatu, Savesham Purnam Bhavatu, Savesham Mangalam Bhavatu, Asatoma Sakkamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityomaha Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Kayena vacha manasendriyeva bhujatmanava prakrite swabhavat. Karomi yadyat sakaram parasmai guru varayeti samapayami. Whatever actions I may perform, impelled by the forces of nature, by body, word, mind, senses, intellect, soul, I offer to the feet of my Sakurudev. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May the entire universe be filled with peace and joy, love, and may that light of truth overcome all darkness. Jai Shri Sakru Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Shri Swami Daasyananda Ji Maharaj ki Jai. Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Just a small announcement that there will be a luncheon in honor of Swami Daasyananda Ji. Please stay and join us. Ashram is offering pizza and ice cream in honor of Swami Das. Let us enjoy togetherness. Oh yes, of course, I was getting too hungry. So there will be offering of petals. Please come 2 by 2. And we will have Narada. Thank you so much for accompanying. Om Shanti.